I'm back behind the wheel of a Saab, and as I said in the last video about one of these, I bloody love a Saab. This is another 9.3, but it's the facelift version. Now normally with most companies it wouldn't be worth bothering doing another video on the same car after a facelift, but because it was Saab, they ended up putting in over 2,000 changes for this facelift, and they basically made a significant kind of overhaul to the whole 9.3 platform. In this video I'm going to basically find out what's the difference, and is it better, is it worse, what do I think of it? So this version of the Saab 9.3, it came out back in 2002, but Saab couldn't leave it alone. Over its lifespan, right up until 2012, so 10 years of this car, incrementally over time, they'd make adjustments to this car. They'd bring in facelifts. They did an interior facelift, then they did an exterior facelift, then they did another final facelift again, before Saab basically went bust and this car ceased to exist. This car is a 2010 model, so it was 2 years before the demise of Saab, finally in 2012. It's both a post-2007 interior facelift and a 2008 exterior facelift. First thing to note is, it's still very much that original car, and it has all of the sort of quirky Saab features that you would expect from that car. Jet fighter inspired cockpit, which wraps around you, and it's all in black with green font on it. The night panel turns off all the dials and makes the car into night mode. The marvel of engineering that is the Saab cup holder that pops out of the dashboard. The incredibly comfortable Saab seats. I would say the most obvious thing about this 2010 car is that obviously it's got a completely different front end and rear end to the original Saab 9.3 that came out in 2002, and that's because in 2008 they facelifted this car and they changed all of the sort of front end to be this very striking and aggressive looking design. The bonnet's now a clamshell design. The front wings had to change in order to accommodate that. They changed the door skins down the side and the door handles as well. You've not got the rubbing strips down the side anymore, you've got this very clean and slab-sided shape. And then at the rear they've got the clear frosted Lexus lights, that I would call them, to just give it that slightly different look. A couple of years before that they'd brought out the concept car, the Saab Aero X, which was this really kind of crazy cool looking two-seater GT sports car thing, and it had like a canopy cockpit that raised up above off of the car so that you didn't actually have any doors and you couldn't get in and out of it without raising the roof off. So really all that kind of trickled through from that concept car was like the front end design of this car and how it looks. So in 2007 Saab completely revamped the interior of this car, and this car now has the simplified dashboard, because that original car, it had buttons everywhere. There's so many buttons. I think it looked really cool. It was like a jet fighter pilot kind of thing, but it was complicated and it could be a little bit confusing to use, and they did simplify it with this interior. So now there's 3 big climate control buttons across the middle. The radio is a lot more simpler with just a few buttons and so on. It did lose that kind of quirkiness, that kind of crazy jet fighter-y thing that they had going on, but it is easier to use and more modern.
The Saab information display, or SID, was moved from its prominent location on the top of the dashboard to the screen in the instrument cluster. I don't know which is better ergonomically, but I miss the SID being up at the top, as it was kind of cool up there.
They also added a few lashings of chrome, so the centre console here is surrounded by a little thin lip of chrome, and it goes all the way around the instrument binnacle and dashboard here in front of me. It does feel genuinely a little bit higher quality, like the buttons feel a little bit nicer to use than the previous version. But the Saab interior is still there, like it's still a little bit sort of creaky and slightly cheaper than what you'd expect in like a Mercedes or a BMW. That indicator sound, they've changed that for the facelift, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of that anymore. It used to be kind of quite a soothing noise, but now it's like a very high pitch, like tick 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 noise, so I'm not sure why they decided to change that. With this being a later car, they did manage to keep it up to date in terms of equipment, because I've noticed that I've got an auto dim rear view mirror here, and I've also got automatic wipers as well. You've got cruise control, you've got CD player with aux in, so for 2010 it had all of the sort of things that you would want from an executive car. Confusingly, in 2007 they also actually changed the suspension of this car. They were intending to make this car a little bit more sophisticated and refined and more executive, because one of the complaints about the original 9.3 in 2002 was that the ride quality was a little bit sort of firm and crashy. They have changed that, and it does feel more compliant and smoother. It's still got that kind of like crashiness over particular potholes and bumpy bits and things. You can hear it, but it is a lot smoother, and that does suit this car a lot better. And at the same time, it actually does handle really well. I've quite enjoyed blasting it around some of these corners. It's not a bad car to drive at all, especially in this Vector Sport trim that this car is. This car is a manual and the other one was an automatic, so it's interesting to see what the manual gearbox is like. First of all, the clutch is nice. It's very compliant and it's very easy to drive this car smoothly, but the gear change itself is a little bit notchy. It's a little bit like you have to like force it in there, but it is a 6-speed manual and it's very nicely high geared for the motorway, and you can cruise along at quite low RPM at high speeds. One of the things that I got a bit of flack for in the last video was that I said that the steering is a little bit vague around the centre and it's got a little bit of play in it, and people said, oh, that must just be because the steering is like worn out and there's some component that needs replacing or whatever. But I have to say, in this car as well, it is very similar. It's still got that kind of like, you can do quite a bit with the steering before it actually kicks in. Once you are like going through the corners and stuff, the steering does feel fairly accurate and sharp. It's not actually that bad. Normally I'd ask backseat JJ what he thinks about the back of the Saab, but we've already asked him that in a previous video. So, got anything else to add, mate? Yeah, I can't believe you brought me along, to be honest. I've not got really much to do, have I? But it's quite dark back here because of the tinted windows, and this car in black with the blacked out windows, it looks sick. I feel like a VIP back here. Something you did forget to mention was the 60th anniversary edition of this car, which came out in 2007, and that was a kind of like a very nice special edition, which had alloy wheels, leather, like special leather seats, and a Bose audio system with a 6-disc changer. Oh well, yeah, cheers for that, mate. Thank you. So a little word on reliability. This car's done 145,000 miles and the owner Chris has done about 15,000 miles in it. He's had to replace the EGR valve and the glow plugs. Now that's a very diesel type issue, isn't it? But over 14,000 miles, it's got about £320 in repairs, so it's not that bad really, is it? It's been a fairly reliable car to him. You still see Saabs everywhere in the UK. Like, I've just seen another one go past there. I've probably seen like 2 or 3, maybe 4 Saabs today. Now, this is a car company that hasn't built a car in at least 10 years. They are well-built, reliable, well-made cars, but also the owners love them and they just keep them going. The one that just went past me then, it was the estate version, the one that was raised up, like 93X, I think it was. Quite a rare car, actually. It was a little old lady driving it, but it's what a cool thing that you still see them. As ever, I'm just enjoying driving this car around because it feels different. Although it's still a modern car and it's got all of the features that you want in a modern car, it just feels like I'm driving something slightly different, slightly quirkier, unusual, and that's hard to come by these days. It's hard to find a car that is interesting and you're happy to walk back to and sit in and drive, but also is reliable and a car that you can use every day and is economical and it's got good performance. And that's where Saab comes in for me into its own. And I think it really does help that they don't build them anymore, it's a sad thing that they don't build them anymore, but to me it's also kind of makes these cars more interesting and enjoyable to own, because you don't see new versions of them and you know that you've got kind of a piece of history. So the $1 million question, or £1 million sterling question, because we're in the UK, is would I pick this car over the pre-facelift or would I choose the pre-facelift? And the answer is, actually, I'd be happy with either. This car, it feels slightly more grown up, it's got a little bit more refined, it's got a smoother ride, it's got a quieter cabin, and it's simplified on the dashboard, so it's easier to live with every day. But previous Saab had the kind of like very crazy buttoned dashboard, it had the Saab information display up on the top, and it had a slightly sort of sleeker and neater, maybe a little bit more old-fashioned 90s design to it, but you know, I would honestly be happy with either of them. They're both good cars. So all that's left to say is thank you very much, Chris, for lending me this car, and thank you so much to you guys for watching. If you want to see the original review of the Saab 9.3 that came out in 2002, then please do click up there, and I'll see you in the next video.